All right, well, let's dive into it. All right, so discover the secrets to more profits with automation, right? So your host today, I'm Dustin with G4 Marketing. We have Ty, wave to everyone, Ty. We have Ty from Engage, Tom from Leap, and a very special guest, John Kobaska, the owner of the Men with Tools in Staten Island, New York. So I'll introduce you more to John here in a minute. Right, so the secret to more profits with automation, and this is a timely topic because the market is shifting, right? What we are starting to see and hear across the industry is that leads are slowing down. We might still be really busy dealing with backlog and jobs we've previously sold, but new demand is slowing down a bit. So it's extremely important that we're getting the very most out of all of our leads and all of the sales appointments that we run and our existing customer relationships. Right. So the last couple of years, a lot of companies in our industry have had more leads and more business than they knew what to do with or could keep up with. And as that changes and demand slows, we need to make sure that we have our systems and processes buttoned up so we are extremely efficient, right? So we need to, so we're gonna hit on a few topics today. Basically, that'll just help you get the very most out of every lead you generate, help you to separate yourselves from competition, increase your closing rates, and charge premium pricing for your products and services, and then turn that customer into a raving fan that will set you up for your next job, whether that be from a 5-star online review, a referral, or their next project. Right, so this is what we'll spend the next 45 minutes or so discussing, your customer journey and just how important it is. Because if you think about it, your customer journey, the experience that they have with your company and what you deliver is really what's going to separate you from your competition. At the end of the day, why do they want to work with you? Because you will deliver on your promise and not just make them satisfied at the end, but a raving fan, right? And John, no one does that better than you. And that's why, we want you on the call to kind of hear from you. And we'll primarily focus today on the sales process and then also the post-install process and point out some key areas where maybe you're missing out on some really big opportunities. Some great ways to really stand out and make your prospects and customers say, wow, like that company is different. They are impressive. I'd rather spend more money with them than go with a cheaper company because I trust they're going to deliver on their promise, right? So Ty and Tom here, they're the experts on the sales process and leveraging technology on your sales appointments and presentations. So I'll pass it over to them in a couple of minutes. And John, you're going to be with us throughout. So you're the star of the show today. We really want to hear from you as much as possible. So John, if you wouldn't mind, John's got a really cool success story. Now I have a slide up here with some bullet points, but would you mind just give us a couple minute version of your background, how you got started in the industry, where you're at today, how you got there?
Yep. No, third generation window and door installer. My grandfather, my father, myself started in the business in 1995 installing on the production side, and opened my first company in 2007 doing flooring. Sold that company 2014, started the Men with Tools. Was home for 2 weeks. Tell this story all the time because it's true and I think it's funny. Home for 2 weeks, and my wife told me I needed to go back to work, and thus the Men with Tools was born. So started the Men with Tools. Started small out on the production side, installing for retail contractors like Lowe's, Home Depot, stuff like that as a subcontractor on the install side. Got to really get familiar with the business again because the previous company we were doing flooring. And 2018, I met G4, Brian K. Went to the first Accelerate in 2019. At that point, I was an $800,000 business, gross revenue. 2019, I went to the first Accelerate, so it was possible. 2019, I went to 1.2. 2020, I went to 1.8. Last year, I did 5, and this year we're on track to do about 8. Yep.
I love it. So
there we are.
It's a great story, and again, we'll kind of hear more from you of kind of how you got there, and some of the process you've implemented along the way. And again, like I said, it's a great story. It couldn't have happened to a better guy, John. You're one of the greats in the industry, and truly appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
With that being said, Ty, I am gonna kick it over to you, my man. I'm gonna stop my share. So if you have slides or talk to John, the floor is yours.
Perfect, Dustin. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm gonna pull up my slides here and share it with you guys. Perfect. So I'm Ty Jury with Engage. I appreciate you having me on here. Obviously, great discussion. I think it's going to be some great insight with some good conversation. Really wanted to focus today in talking about your sales presentation and helping you improve the overall customer experience through innovative design. And through that process, really allow each sales rep in your organization to have the tools that they need to be able to act and behave and close like your best sales rep. It's interesting, through the process of doing multiple presentations and gathering a lot of data for companies that are using presentation software currently, customers actually have told us a lot. And in the game of sales, you guys already know that there's a saying that customer will tell you how to sell them if you listen. Customers are actually telling us that they want a slightly different sales experience when somebody is inside of their home. They want to be sold differently. Today, with access to internet, they're a lot more informed about the product even before you get there. So they're expecting that interaction to be more of a conversation wherein they're able to ask you some questions about the product, who you are as a company, get to know you a little bit better before they feel comfortable with, making a buying decision. So because of that, we need to listen to them a little bit differently and have a more interactive conversation through interactive presentation, through great design. 61% of us, if we think about the type of content that we have, customers are telling us 61% of our customers are telling us that they don't want to sit through a 50-page PowerPoint presentation. They want it to be very interactive and sold differently. Studies have told us that the human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. So just take a second to think about that. We are all visual learners is basically what that tells us, regardless of whether or not we actually want to admit it. Everything that we process today with regard to the internet, with television, the way that we're sold is in a visual aspect, and customers want that same look and feel when we come into their home and try to sell them a product. So as you think about today, and not only the changes that are happening with regard to the environment, with regard to the processes as far as in-home sales, but also think about the changes that are happening with regard to your supply chain. You want to be able to have a presentation that's going to allow you to make instant changes based on supply and demand in the industry. If a certain color is no longer available, if a certain style is no longer available, you want to be able to make those changes on the fly and make sure that your sales reps now have the most up-to-date information that they're sharing with their customers instead of selling a product that's no longer available. So a tool like Engage, for example, would allow you to make those changes and make sure that everybody has the most recent version. The second part of really that interaction and that process with the customer has to do with, okay, you've done a great job of hiring somebody, you've trained them, maybe you've gotten on a couple of ride-alongs to be able to see how they're doing in the field, but now you let them go. Well, how do they interact with those customers after you let them loose? What's that interaction look like? What's that process look like? If you've created a sales presentation, how do you ensure that they're following through those processes after they're alone? Well, a big part of that is having a tool to be able to allow you to measure the results, measure your analytic data to be able to allow you to still be on that virtual ride-along. A tool like Engage, for example, allows you to be able to do exactly just that. You'd be able to see how much time the sales rep is spending on each part of the presentation. Do those conversations, are they deep enough in certain sections of your presentation? Are they spending enough time in company story, talking about your brand and the value and that you bring to the table, how you differentiate yourselves a little bit from the competition? And how do those conversations lead to more closing opportunities and allow you to have a better one-on-one conversation with your sales rep as you debrief and help them kind of get across that bridge to deeper relationships. So as you think about your process, as you think about, changes that you want to make, one obviously is making sure that you have a great sales presentation in place, but make sure it's not linear. Make sure that it allows for an engaging conversation with your customer that's going to help you drive more results. John, as you kind of think about your process and how you've used Engage, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions just to share with us a little bit what that relationship looks like for you and your team. Since you've been using Engage, how has your sales process improved?
Well, you've already laid it all out, Ty. Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's allowed us to show our customers what our products and services look like much more effectively, right? Prior to using Engage, we were using a PowerPoint presentation, and we had static images and on our slides, and now we're able to go out and we hired a videographer, and we were actually able to take detailed step-by-step videos of our installation process, close-up shots, action shots of the installers. It was just much more engaging. And like you said, it's allowed us to kind of standardize the process and allow us to measure the results and track our sales reps. So yeah, it's been a valuable tool to our organization.
Good. You talked about the measuring. I assume that you're talking about the analytics. How have you found that that's been helpful in terms of making sure that every salesperson is following and executing the sales process that you put in place?
Yeah, I mean, it's, absolutely. Before Engage, we didn't have a process for that. There was no way to track PowerPoint. So you had your slides and you say, hey guys, you would train, this is how we do it. Go through slide by slide and away you go. And nobody was really 100% sure if they were actually delivering it the way it should be. Now with the analytics, in the back end of Engage, that we can track how long they're spending on each page, whether they're going to these pages or whatnot. So we can provide reports, and we do at our sales meeting, and we show them what they're doing, and it's allowed us to like I said, hold them accountable with the analytics.
And do you think that standardizing that sales presentation and process has helped with your close rates? What have you seen in that regard?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Before we had signed up to Engage, we had struggled a bit with closing entry door leads. So we sell a high-end product from Provia, and the issue that we had in our market was, Provia will sell to multiple dealers. They even sell to distributors. So you're dealing with all different types of competitors. So you're dealing with, similar companies to mine, but then you're also dealing with the mom and pop, the chucks in the truck. They're selling at a different price point than we are. So it was difficult to build that value in our PowerPoint presentation. Once we brought it on Engage, and we could go out and we could film the 64 points that we have in our entry door installation process. We could show them how we're truly putting together an entry, we're truly selling an entry system rather than entry door, how Provia offers that. We could kind of create that separation, that differentiation between us and those people. So our closing rates on entry doors prior to signing up with Engage, and I talked to Charlie about this, was less than 15%. And immediately after we built it out, we shot all the video, we put it all together, our closing rate is now between 30 and 35%. So more than doubled the closing rate on entry doors.
Well, that's phenomenal. That's awesome to hear. And what do you think are the important things to automate currently in your business?
Well, the sales process, right? The sales process using software like Engage and Leap, along with a good CRM that can help with like rehash and the follow-up process, of course.
And how are you using that type of technology today to help you with the automation and growing your business?
What do you? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused on that question, Ty.
It's okay. So through, so you've got multiple technology platforms that you're using in-house. How are they kind of incorporated to make sure that it's kind of on an autopilot?
Yeah, so they are all integrated and tied into my CRM. So like our tech stack, what
Yes.
you'd call, yep, they're all integrated with our CRM. So
perfect. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us here today. Dustin, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and so we can have our next speaker here.
All right, thanks, Ty. John, you have a question here. What CRM do you use?
So we use a smaller unknown company. Actually, they were at the last Fast Remodeler in Baltimore. He's a personal friend of mine. He lives local to me, but he's a brilliant guy when it comes to programming and stuff like that. The name of the program is called Builder Prime. It's a CRM. It's not Builder Trend. It's Builder Prime. And I like using it because it's a CRM that was built for contractors. So it offers you the sales, marketing, and the production side all in one. So
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to kick it over to Tom with Leap.
Hey, Dustin, appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Ty for teeing that up, and John, I've got a ton of questions. I want to. I think it'll help our audience here. They tuned in. They want to hear about what you're doing and how you're successful. And I first of all, thank you for being a Leap customer. We really appreciate that. I know you've been with us, almost about a year and a half or so. So I kind of want to take it back. I want to set that aside for a minute because I want to hear what was your process, your sales process like before Leap?
It was paper, pen, price books. It was all done manually. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess for folks, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I know in the industry 20 years ago, I'm writing down the homeowner's name 27 times. From the time the lead came in until I actually filed it away in a filing cabinet, let alone a CRM, but in a filing cabinet in the basement, and left all kinds of room for error. So I'd love to understand from you. I know you're using a lot of different technology. Sort of the Ty's point, you have a lot of integrations there. I know you're using things like Provia, and do you use EntryLink? Provia's EntryLink?
We do, yes.
Yeah, and so for those not familiar, Provia's got like a configurator, if you will, that can put together a door, because those are some complex components, and they have such a vast catalog that it makes sense to do something like that within a configurator that they have. But maybe a lot of people don't know there are integrations that exist via APIs, which essentially means these two technologies can talk to each other. And so you guys are using EntryLink to configure this door, and then you're pulling that in via an automation into Leap. So if you can, talk a little bit about what that process is like and how it works.
With the Provia configurator?
Yeah.
We enjoy working with the Provia configurator. It's real simple, easy to use. Our customers love it. So we kind of turn it over. We let them design their door. We kind of point them in the right direction. But once they've made a few choices, it's very simple. We save the project. We upload it to the from the configurator to their EntryLink website, and it provides us with an EntryLink number. We go and we take, I think it's a 6-digit number. We take that number, we copy it, we paste it over into Leap, and it just downloads the information right there, one shot, click a button, and then we have a proposal or a contract.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic automation integration.
We'll jump ahead. One thing I can say about Leap, if I had my 5 sales reps here, they'd have pom-poms, they'd be cheering you guys on, because prior to working with Leap, it was 45 minutes to write out a proposal, a contract. We had all these different paper processes, and they would spend 8-10 hours out on the road, talking to customers, selling. Then they'd have to come back to the home, and they'd spend an hour, 2-3 hours uploading their paperwork. Now with Leap, it's a push of a button. Yeah, they spend no more than. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think it's interesting too, and I want to talk about this for a minute, because Leap does integrate with 6 or 7 different CRMs, right? And we know it doesn't integrate with Builder Prime. Like you said, it's a smaller CRM that maybe some folks don't know about. But that doesn't stop your automation processes. I mean, you've got ways that contracts are getting to you when a job's sold. The results of the appointment are getting to you. The leads are getting from a calendar into Leap. Talk to us about what that flow looks like.
So it is a little automated because you have not integrated with Builder Prime yet, but I believe you are working on that. I believe I've put Jonathan in contact with you. So you're working on that API, I believe.
We've got a lot of integrations in the works, but yeah.
But I believe he's working on that. But I mean, it's a little bit of a manual process, right? We do have to go in. We do have to kind of create I have an admin, so she will create from the CRM. She'll create the customer and lead. And then from there, they push it over. So they email the proposal of the contract to our default email address, and then our admin pulls it out in the morning and then just places it in the proper folder in our CRM. So in the future, that'll all happen automatically.
Yeah, and John, you guys also use destination motivation, I believe, a little bit.
We do, yes. Yep.
Yeah, one of the things in talking with Caleb over there is one of the big hurdles they have is actually getting back those vouchers and the document, the things associated with them. You guys have that automated though with Leap, right? Those things go automatically to them.
We do. Yep. Get them signed. The whole.
Yeah, and so for folks that don't know, I mean that's all happening in the background. So as we talk about automations and things, when a job is sold and it includes a destination motivation voucher, for instance, that voucher is automatically being emailed over to that inbox over at Destination Motivation. But also just like the contracts and the proposals and the results, those you have set to that so that they go to different inboxes so that a sales rep doesn't have to bring back that contract and hand it to you.
A lot less.
A lot less paperwork, and also I imagine a lot less errors, right? I mean, signatures and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, to me as the business owner, I'm very particular about watching my margins, and it was a source of frustration for me before signing up with Leap. It's actually the reason that I decided to ultimately work with Leap, is that working with your program, it allows me to put guardrails up around those sales reps, right? Because when you're doing everything manually out of a price book and on a piece of paper, you're relying on your sales reps' math skills, and unfortunately, sometimes they may not be the best at that, or they might hit a number that's wrong on the calculator. So, there were errors prior to working with Leap. Now, puts the guardrail right up around them. So, we have our standardized drops, we have our floor. They cannot go below that, right? They can't do anything inside the program because we've created that system there where, here's your retail price, this is your 30-day price, and this is your stay price. You want to call beyond that, if it's a larger job, do a higher authority close. The only way to get a price lower than the today price is to call that in and talk to our sales manager and manually, he has to go in there and manually approve that. So there's no more crazy numbers being sent to customers and working on jobs with low margins. So it's really allowed me to protect my margins.
That's great. It's a common theme that we hear a lot. Do you have any stories of a job that was sold well below margin, or a time where
one?
Yeah.
Prior to working with the, I mean, there are so many. I mean, literally. I mean, I would, and there were jobs that were sold $5,000, $7,000 short. Promotions, for example. We do a buy two get one free special, right? So it's math, right? There's a calculator. So for even I'm a little confused. Every 3 that you buy, you get 1 free. So, and we've been able to actually install a calculator in Leap. So if you have 7 windows, you get, is it 1? I think it's 1 free. 2 free. I'm not using the calculator, right?
I can see why this is confusing. Yeah.
We would be sitting there with a customer, and they would be like, and they would try to do the math backward, and it was always wrong. Now we've we've literally programmed that calculator, and we just put it right in the Leap, and it just calculates it for us. They put the total number that and there's never an error, right? So you're never $800 short or $1,600 short. Yeah, but I mean, the errors before that were just before working with Leap, they were around. So no more.
Yeah,
no more.
That's great.
Yep.
John, one other thing I wanted to talk about was, when they're creating an estimate, let's say it's not a Provia door and it's Windows. I took a look at kind of how your account was built out this morning, and I noticed there's a lot of placeholders and things in there where it's pulling information from the estimate level into your contracts and into your proposals. That obviously is cutting down on those errors that can happen there. But what was the process like before? Were they were doing the estimate, they're filling out a paper contract, I imagine, and now
paper proposal, paper handwriting it in. Mm-hmm.
And
now
when the
options, and very simple.
When a sales rep does a contract, I mean, what kind of information are they putting in now? Because I feel like most of it's all pulling over. If I was looking at the different placeholders, is there very much that a sales rep has to fill out to generate that contract?
Completely automated. I mean, the only thing that they have to do on a promotion is maybe manually enter into our calculator how many windows, how many doors. We'll do buy a Provia entry door, get a storm door free. Patio doors have different discounts, so they'll just enter it into the calculator. How many patio doors? How many single entries? And it just automatically enters, like I said, the discount. But that's it. I mean, they click a button, send it off. It's there.
And yeah. John, does it help at all? One thing I've heard, I guess, from some other folks that I've talked to is how it's cutting down on time for them to bring on new sales reps. I don't know if you brought on any new sales reps while you've had Leap in place, but have you noticed any difference if you have brought on a sales rep and you're handing them Leap as opposed to maybe teaching them how to do all these things?
Yeah, I mean, we just recently hired 2 new sales reps, so yeah, it definitely cuts down on the time if you have the right sales rep. Right? Mm-hmm. If you have a sales rep that is tech savvy, and let's face it, most people are these days, but you have some people still that are using a flip phone. Those are probably the people that you don't really want to hire. It's probably something you should do. You should weed that out during your interview process. It's actually one of the questions actually asked now, believe it or not. We hired a sales rep last year that just couldn't figure out any of the technologies. He was a great salesman, but I mean, he wanted to do everything the old way, pen and paper. And I said, look, you would have been great working for me 3 years ago, but we're past that. So yeah, it's like I said, it's been easier to teach the right sales reps. The onboarding process, we spend a day or two teaching for a few hours each day. Leap, Engage, our CRM, because most of it is automated, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic. Well, John, again, I appreciate it. I appreciate the business, obviously, and I appreciate the time today.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. I'm going to pop back in. John, I'm going to share a couple of slides, just kind of set the table for us. Are you seeing the your customer journey?
I'm
here. All right. All right. So I'm going to continue along the path, of the customer journey, and just remember why it's so important to look at this, because this is your customer experience, right? And make no doubt about it, what we've been talking about and what John has invested in, when his sales reps show up at the home and they're using the Engage presentation and using Leap to quote the job, I mean, that is separating themselves from their competition, right? Standing out in the eyes of their customer, and like John is closing at a higher closing rate and at premium pricing. And then we're not really talking about this, but not to mention the I guess the experience that your team has, John, right? Your sales reps, by using those tools and just feeling confident there in front of the customer, and again, all that translates. But having an amazing customer experience like what John has, it's the difference between this, right? Google reviews are letting the world and your potential buyers know whether or not you're a company they want to work with. So your customer journey could leave you with a 1 Google review at a 1-star rating, or 390 Google reviews with a 5-star rating, right? So those of you on the webinar, just ask yourself, when you look up a company, whose website are you going to click on and fill out the form, or call in and get more information? Are you going to call the one Google review 1-star rating, or the 390 at a 5-star rating? And I think we all know the choice is pretty obvious. And this is an exaggeration. It doesn't have to be this bad. It could be 12 Google reviews at a 3.5, for example, right? You're not going to go any further. And so ultimately, your customer experience, right? It's also the difference between you getting repeat and referral business, at the end. But so the smart contractor realizes that you don't want to be just a one and done in this industry, right? You want to build relationships with your customers. Again, kudos to John. Does this better than anyone. Right? I think you told me once, as their window guy, I want to be their best friend, not just their window guy, right? So, and you really do that. And so ultimately it's the difference between a small pile of money and maybe going out of business, or a big pile of cash at the end, right? And even before I get to, we want to talk about automation and just some areas where maybe there's some opportunity. So before I get to the post-sales process and what John's doing there, I just wanted to call out this really quickly. One area of opportunity that I see a lot of people miss out on in this industry, and hopefully you're using Engage and Leap and their tools, and you're closing your sales appointments at an extremely high rate. But what about the appointments that don't sell? Right? Do you have a process in place to rehash these and follow up on these? And with the tools that are available to you today, the automation, we can make this really easy. It's not going to take a lot of your time or money to do this. And so, there's some numbers up here on this slide, but, do your own math. Basically, just come up with how many appointments are you running every week or every month, whatever's easiest. And then what is your closing rate? Or kind of the opposite of that. How many are you not closing? And then what is your average ticket, right? So you can get a sense of how much money you're leaving on the table. And you're not going to get all of these back, of course, but a really, really good rehash campaign can see anywhere from 7 to 10% of those coming back. But so what does that mean to you, right? If you got 7% of your unsold appointments to convert to sales, how much in additional revenue is that for you, right? It doesn't have to be 7%. But that should be your goal. But even if it's 4 or 5%, that can have a really big impact, right? And we have a rehash campaign that we do for some of our clients here at G4, and it's completely automated, done for you. In our industry, the average cost for a lead, an issued appointment, I should say, is around $400. So basically, can you spend an extra $5, $10, $15, whatever it may be, on that lead to have an insurance policy, if it doesn't close the first time? Right, so that's one area where I think automation can really help increase profits for a lot of us. And the other is in the relationships you build with your prospects and your customers, right? It's literally a gold mine. So that's what we're going to focus on now, the relationship with your customers. So how many of you on the call today have a process in place once the install is complete and the final payment is received? And so my hope is that it's not a transactional relationship. You guys aren't getting that final check and just moving on and chasing after the next one, that we actually have a relationship with our customers, that we nurture that relationship ongoing, and that can become your best lead source, right? They're the source of your next job, whether it's a 5-star Google review, a referral, or a repeat project. So let me just ask everyone a question. We always ask this, if I was your sales manager and I had 5 leads to pass out, right? I had an internet lead, a repeat customer, a TV lead, a referral, or a newspaper lead, and you can only run one, which one would you want to run? And feel free to put it in the chat or just shout out, at the screen. So I can't hear you, but what I'm guessing you're saying, almost everyone, there are some outliers, but almost 100% of the time we hear, I want the referral or the repeat customer, right? And why? There's a lot of reasons, but for one, they close at a much higher rate. Right? So if we all agree that a referral and a repeat customer are the best leads, doesn't it make sense to have a methodology behind generating more of these leads, right? Don't leave it to chance, have systems, have processes in place to drive this. Okay? So I have some success tips here, and I'm going to close this down and I'll get back to it. But basically I want to bring, John in the conversation, and he lives and breathes this every day at his business. And it's the entire journey, right? From inquiry, meaning the first time someone hears about the Men with Tools and his team picks up the phone or meets with them, all the way through to that sales process that we discussed, to the installation and even beyond. John has systems and processes in place to wow the customer. So John, would you mind you just kind of share with us what happens once you guys make the sale, right? So even before the install, what happens from sale to install, and then even after the installation? And you don't have to give us every detail, but maybe just some highlights. What are the things you guys do to wow the customer?
Yeah. So sale has been completed. Automated email and texting campaign that works behind the scenes through our CRM that we're currently using. That keeps the customer updated as to where they are in the production process as far as what the manufacturer is doing. So, and that's all completely automated. So, tell the customer a week after, like, this is your estimated shipping date, based on basic rules that we have. And when the order ships, when we get the shipping notification, it sends good news. Your great news. Your order is being shipped to us. We should have it checked in within 24 to 48 hours once we receive it. So they're constantly getting email communication from us. They're constantly aware of where their project is in the production process at the manufacturer. Then after the install, after the installation's been completed, 2 weeks later, my CRM will send out a email asking them for us to be able to provide what we call a walkthrough inspection. Just send out our installation manager, production supervisor out there, just more or less take a look at the job, make sure everything went great, allows us to get back in the home, ask for repeat business, referrals, ask for a 5-star Google review. It also allows us to catch anything that's going on the production side, on the installation side. So if our installers are not doing certain things, we can see that, we can hold them accountable. And then even up to a year later, after the project's been completed, we'll send them another email saying, hey, it's your birthday. Congratulations, it's your birthday. Your project's 1 year, 1 year old today. We'd like to come back out there, just check, make sure everything's okay. So we're in constant communication, and believe it or not, getting back in the home a year later, it's been a valuable source for repeat business for us. We have very little service. We actually are invited back quite frequently. Usually leads to another project.
Yeah, I love it. And we're talking a lot of automation, and I'll ask some stuff about kind of what G4 is doing for you, and that's obviously completely automated. But one thing, and I don't know, Ty and Tom, you guys are more on the technology side, so maybe you're smarter than I am, but I don't know if we found a way to automate that face-to-face interaction, right? Just human to human. So I give you guys a lot of credit for going out there 2 weeks after the job, and right, that takes time and effort, but it's I'm going to give it away. John has 231 Google reviews. Every single one of them is a 5-star. There's a reason for that, right? Mm-hmm. So John, after the install, and that's where you're working with G4 and in our system. And one of the things that we do is, right, we send a gift. We want a gift to show up about a week after. But even before starting with G4 marketing, you saw the value in showing appreciation. So would you just kind of talk through what were you doing yourself? What kind of gift were you showing up with, and just what did that do for you, basically?
Yeah, no, it's like I said. I mean, in 2019, after attending the first Accelerate event, I decided, hey, you know what? I have enough time at that point. I was in the $800,000 company. I have time to physically go out and double check and inspect the jobs. I was bringing them a jar of cookies in the box, a thank you package, similar to G4. And I would go and I would inspect, leave them a gift card, and ask for a 5-star review. And that was pretty much the process then. Yeah.
And so I guess you kind of answered it, you had a little more time, but why did you decide then, if you were doing this yourself, why did you decide to have G4 marketing do it for you? And then once you did you see any kind of difference in results, or just, the relationships with your customer from it?
Yeah. Well, the answer as to why I had G4 was the lack of time, right? I quickly got real busy, right? The business was growing quickly and my time was becoming more limited. So, plus G4 offered, the additional services like the newsletters, right? The referral rewards program, in addition to the gift, right? There was no way that I could write newsletters on my own, right? And hiring a full-time person to do that would be expensive. So it was a no-brainer. Yeah, absolutely.
And, I mentioned it earlier, just a minute ago, that you have 200. It was 230, and then I relooked, and of course, shocker, you got another 5-star Google review. So, how are you leveraging having 231 5-star Google reviews?
Have two Google listings. So we have a New York office, and so we probably have close to 80. Yeah, between the two combined. Yeah, on Google.
I love it. So how are you guys leveraging those reviews?
The best part about having so many reviews on Google is that everyone sees them, right? So it builds credibility. We constantly are hearing from customers. The reason that they initially even called us, or the reason that they chose to do business with us, was because of those 5-star reviews. So it's making an investment, and it pays off.
Yeah. And I think the last time we spoke too, I don't have the numbers exactly right, but in like 2018, 2019, what were you selling your window for versus, what are you selling it for today? And again, I think some of it's all of this, right? It's the reviews are helping you to do it. It's showing up with Engage and Leap in the platform. But what were you selling it for a couple of years ago, and what about now?
Yeah, we were selling 3 different windows for $600, $700, $800. I didn't really understand my numbers. It sounded great. That's what everybody was, in my market, was selling for. And now today we have one exclusive window brand, so we're different from everybody else, and we retail that window for close to $1,600. We're talking white, double hung replacement, pocket replacement in an opening. Yeah. Anything else is more money. Madeira trim, finished work, new construction, the price only goes up from there. So,
right, I love it. Well, yeah, talking, growing from 1.8 million to 5 million to now 10. If you charge an extra $1,000 per window, I'm sure that helps, right? You don't have to quadruple your leads to necessarily get there.
No. Yeah.
When you did increase your pricing, did you guys see? I think a lot of people are scared to increase pricing because they are scared of not winning the job, right? Did you notice a decrease or a dip in your guys' closing percentage?
No, look, you when I was selling a $600, $700, $800 window, like I said, everything was manual, right? I was selling a $600, $700. I had a $800 sales process, right?
Sure.
I walked in, have a needs assessment. I didn't have a warm up. I didn't have a needs assessment. I didn't have a measure and inspection, an engaged presentation. I walked in, it's kind of, hey, how you doing? Build a little rapport. They showed me the project. I measured it. I threw a couple of brochures down, touched on some things, whatever. I didn't even ask what was important to them. And then I gave them a price, right? And if they objected, I kind of dealt with some objection, standard objections and rebuttals. Okay, great. But when I made the decision that I wanted to sell a premium window, I had to do some things, right? So I went to like I said, the first Accelerate, and I met a bunch of people, heard a bunch of different stories, and Brian talked about being, different, right? Standing out in the sea of sameness, right? I believe there was a slide with like 100 red cue balls and it was one blue or whatever, and that was me, and that was going to be me. So I left that Accelerate, and I immediately created my own exclusive window, right? So nobody sells my window. I immediately, and I'm, talking about all of your vendors here, talk to John Englis, great guy. John, hey, I need a sales process. And I immediately hired him. And, 3 months later, I had a unique sales process that I started to follow, right? Then I had started bringing in technology like Engage, and, he provided me with a presentation, which was the standard presentation it was key, right? And then it was a PowerPoint. Great for the time, and then we eventually changed over to Engage. So I've been able to build things into my sales to be able to justify that price increase, right? So it's kind of why I went from selling a $600-$700 window, $800 window at a 30% close rate to a $1,600 retail window at a 30% close rate. I had to do some things to justify that price increase, but it's still a 30% close rate, right? So I made the choice to sell a $600 window with maybe $100 net profit on it, to going to selling a $1,600 window with a $400 or $500 net profit, right?
Right.
Maybe but a $300-400 net profit. So I'm making a lot more money. Yeah. And that was right. So yes, you can do it, but you're going to have to provide more value.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to ask for premium pricing and get it, you got to deliver on it, right?
We're not talking about like a standard 5-10% bump. I went from selling 600-700. I mean, I more than doubled the price, right? You can't do that without building things in, right? Look, we all get the price increases, 3%, 6% from our manufacturers. I take that, I pass it along to the customer. Right? I don't have to build things in to be able to justify those price increases. That's unfortunately what's going on in the market right now, right? Look, I am always looking for new angles and new technologies and new processes to improve that. But like I said, if you truly want to go from selling a $600-700 window, being a low price competitor, to a premium, you are going to have to build some things in order to do that.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you hit on your closing percentage. So earlier, we've talked about this before. So self-serving question, but what is your closing percentage on your repeat and referral leads that you guys generate?
Yeah, they're my two best lead sources. So repeat customers are 71%, and I have the numbers right here. Second is referral; it's at 46%.
Yeah,
those are phenomenal.
Yeah, and you've grown quite a bit. What percentage of your revenue is coming from your repeat and referral? Basically your customer relationships.
Right now that's about between 30 and 35%. We track that monthly.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that's where we want to see at a minimum, right? We want even more. But
we can do better. We can do better.
Yeah.
We can do a lot better. I mean, admittedly, I've just hired a marketing director prior to hiring Don here. I didn't spend a lot of time really digging into the referral rewards program that you guys provide.
Yep.
Now that I've hired him, we're starting to focus on that more. So I would imagine in, a couple more months, that number is only going to increase.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here, I want to bring everyone.
Repeat referral.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. And I want to bring everyone back into go ahead, John. Sorry.
I said, I want to be that company, 50-60%.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And as you're growing too, right? It's one thing to be doing $1 million at 50-60%, but to be doing 10, right? That's some serious stuff there. Well, again, I'm just kind of opening it up to everyone, but John, the one last question I did want to ask, and Anthony kind of asked this just a different way. But so how do you pay for this, right? So clearly you are intentional about delivering the best customer experience. You've integrated all these different tools, Leap, Engage, talked about John Anglis sales system. You got a great website, G4 marketing. How are you paying for this?
Yeah, I don't pay for anything. If we discover a program or a service that we feel delivers value to our customers, we have our customers pay for it by raising our price, right? Let me give you an example how I did that, right? Did you know that we added a disposal fee, Dustin, to pay for the 1 in the 5 program on all of our contracts?
I did not.
Yeah, no, it's not garbage, right? And I'm very intentional about tracking my costs, right? The cost of our dumpsters are already built into our window and door pricing, right? Rather than just simply raise my price across the board, which I do every time we receive a material or labor price increase recently, we added that fee, right? The disposal fee, right? A fee that customers would agree to pay, right? So our disposal fee on all of our contracts now is $249, right? Every time a customer signs, it's there, it's line item, disposal fee. And it pays for, the 1 in the 5 program, Leap, Engage, and all the other services that we use to deliver that outstanding installation experience. So our customer.
Yep. And that's it, right? The customer pays for everything. So for sake of time.
If you don't want to raise your pricing on the window or door, throw something in an admin fee. I've heard of other companies using admin fees, disposal fee. It's typically. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I like it. Well, we're gonna launch a poll here. I had a couple more. Basically, I just want to encourage anyone on the call that wants to hear more about how to invest in your customer relationships and what we're doing for John. Reach out to me. But basically, what is most important to you right now? And this is multiple choice. So you can select all 3. You can select 1. There's a poll that was launched, so please take a minute and answer this, as well as we're going to hang tight for another 9 minutes or so. So feel free to send questions our way. Either chat us or submit one through question and answer. And Ty and Tom, feel free to chime in as well.
Are you hearing that traffic on this webinar that's passing by every couple of minutes? No,
I'm not.
Right. I'm like I told you before we this call. I'm on the front deck of my house, my vacation home here in PA, looking at the lake right now. So, and we got a management powwow meeting here for the last 2 days. So I've got sales, marketing, production, everybody in there right now working on stuff. So I get to sit out here with you right now and talk about with G4, Leap, and Engage.
Yes.
Awesome.
I love it. We appreciate you. Okay. So any questions from anyone, feel free to chat us. Okay, we'll hang tight for a few minutes.
John, well, we're waiting for folks to type in their question. I see one coming in. I just love to know from you, where do you see the business growing in the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, the goal this year is 8 to 10 million. Next year is going to be 12, and we'd like to push it out to 20 million by 2025. So that's where we are.
That's fantastic. And just at a high level, how do you plan to get there? It's one thing to have a goal, but I'd love to hear if you've got some ways you plan to get there.
So how do I plan to get there? People and space. I need more people and I need more space. Look, I mean, ultimately the production side of my business is what's going to always hold me back, right? That's the challenge I think that we're all facing right now in the industry. We just don't have enough installers. So right now I'm trying to create an in-house, what we're calling the Men with Tools hub, where we can kind of systematize and automate the training and onboarding process in order to take people with, hands-on skills, maybe from other industries, and turn them into, at least, intermediate window and door installs that we can send out there to do, maybe smaller, simpler projects, while we continue to advance even our current guys up to advanced levels. So we're looking to do that, right? So we're going to be hamstrung by that. So if we can build that in place, we can go much faster. So I look at the production side first, because we're really good at marketing, right? We have a pretty good marketing system. We understand that if we just turn the dials this much, that we can generate more leads, right? And our sales system is pretty good. So we realize that we just turn the marketing spend up, generate more leads, more sales, but we need those guys down there in the warehouse to produce it, right? So, like I said, people and space. I need to build myself a larger warehouse. I leased this space last year, April of 2021, and I need more space. In a year, we grew out of it. So right now I'm looking for land. I am in New York City, New Jersey, so land is not cheap. So I'm looking for an acre and a half. I'm going to build a 20,000 square foot building on it, be able to grow into that. So those are the goals for the future.
That's awesome.
That's what we're working on up here right now at this management powwow, people and space.
That's great.
Yep.
So a couple questions came in from Anthony. One was, what was the Accelerate conference you mentioned? John, I'll take that one. So Anthony, our sister company, The Wealthy Contractor, which you might be familiar with it. Our owner, Brian Cascabalsian, he does a podcast. A lot of the webinars we produce. We do an event in February down in Florida. Industry specific. Engage is a sponsor, Leap's a sponsor. John's been there 4 years, 5 years in a row, whatever it's been. So it's a great event. We'll start promoting it here pretty soon. I'll make sure that we send you the information, but it'll be next February in Florida. And then John, Anthony also wanted to know, I don't know if you can answer this, but who do you go through to create your custom window?
Oh yeah, we were we're using, well, prior to the price increase and prior to meeting you guys through Accelerate, we were using a manufacturer called Soft Light Windows. The issue with some of these manufacturers are that they protect certain dealers in certain territories. So I could not expand outward into other markets. So I wanted to go to New Jersey. My company is based out of Staten Island, which is a borough in New York City. I wanted to expand in New Jersey, and Softlight was not going to allow me to do that. And now we're working with Sunrise. Sunrise is a great company. They do a bunch of like done-for-you marketing systems and sales systems. They're really good working with dealers. But they were, when I told them what my plan was, that I wanted to make an exclusive window where I can go anywhere, in the country, and nobody would, I wouldn't step on anyone's toes. They were receptive to it. They were happy. Within a month and a half of that initial conversation, I had my exclusive window. So Sunrise Windows, yep. Great, awesome. Great partner.
Yes. Well, we appreciate the questions, Anthony. If someone gets one in quickly, we'll answer one more, but otherwise we'll wrap up. So, John, John, so easy to talk to. We could probably do 3-4 hours with you, but we'll let you go. I know you got your management team up there at the lake house. Ty and Tom, awesome stuff. Anything to add before we take off?
I just want to say thank you. I was on mute, but John, appreciate it. Thanks for sharing all this with everybody.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm sure folks got a lot out of it.
Likewise, Dustin, John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty.
Love it. And Stephen, yes, we did record this. So assuming all went well, yes, you will get a recording. We will be sure to follow up with you. So, all right, everyone, it's about noon. Thank you again, John. Thanks, Ty. Thanks, Tom. We'll talk to everyone soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.